Hello everybody. Today we talk about secondary dominance in minor key. So again, for secondary dominance, basically what we are trying to achieve is that we want to create a smaller chord progression that is in one key, and we put the smaller progression in a different key in a larger chord progression. So for example, let's take a look at this harmonized A minor scale. So we have harmonic minor here for the 5 chord, and we'll include the G sharp diminished 7 from the harmonic minor. We'll also include G7 from the natural minor. And again, once again, the reason that I included these chords, I didn't exclude G7 for the reason that in reality they would still happen in a real song situation. All right. So first of all, the primary dominant in this situation would be the E7. So it resolves to A minor. So again, 5-1 chord progression is something that's very common in music. It often establishes the one chord as the home chord, and the listener would feel that A is really home if you have this kind of movement, for example, E7 going to A minor. And we call E7 here the 5 of 1. And for each of these chords, you may be able to find its 5 chords. So let's take a look at each one. B minor 755, we don't have a 5 for this chord, for the reason that if we were to do so, that would be an F sharp 7. And this is a rule for secondary dominants. They must have diatonic roots, meaning that right now, overall, we're in A minor. So A would be our root. And we have all these notes, and F sharp is not one of these notes, right? It's not one of these roots. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G sharp. It's not one of them. So we don't have a secondary dominant for the 2 minor 755 in a minor key, all right? It doesn't exist for that case. Moving on, C major 7th. If we go up a fifth, perfect fifth, we have G7, and G has diatonic root. All right. So, and that case, it would be a 5, 7 of 3, flat 3, since we're in a minor key, all right? And D minor 7, the 5 chord would be A dominant 7, and the A is diatonic to A minor. All right, we have a good root. And this one we call it 5, 7 of 4. E7. So when we go up a fifth, that should be a B dominant 7. We call this one 5, 7 of 5. F major 7th. So that would be a flat 6 chord. So F, G, A, B, C, C dominant 7th. And we call it a 5, 7 of flat 6. All right. So far so good. All right. G dominant 7th. I'm gonna write it up here. All right. So that should be a D 7th, and we call the D7 a 5, 7 of flat 7. All right. And lastly, we have the G sharp diminished 7. So for this one, we also do not have a secondary dominant for this case. It doesn't exist for G sharp diminished 7. If you go up a fifth, G, A, B, C, D, that would be a D sharp 7. And that is not, the root of D sharp 7 is not diatonic to the chord progression, to the larger chord progression here. So it doesn't exist, all right? So we can safely ignore the secondary dominant for this case, all right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dominant, secondary dominant chords for the chord progression. Actually 5, I'm sorry. So this is the primary dominant, and we have these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 secondary dominant chords. All right. Cool. So here's a recap again. No secondary dominants for 2 minor 755 and 7 diminished 7th. Okay, so let's quickly work out all these secondary dominants for E minor. All right, so first step would be to write out all the chords. So F, E, F sharp, minor 7, flat 5, G major 7, A minor 7th, B dominant 7th, C major 7th, and you would have D 7th, and also D sharp diminished 7th. So you won't have dominant 7th for the minor 7th at 5, and also the D sharp diminished 7. So, and then for E minor, you'll have B dominant 7th. All right, and that's your primary dominant. All right, and we call that the 5 of 1, or 5 dominant 7th of 1. All right, G major 7th. Let's find a 5 chord for G major 7th. That should be D 7th. All you have to do is go up a 5th, G A B C D. So we call it a 5/7 of flat 3. A minor 7th. The 5 chord would be an E dominant 7th, and that's a 5/7 of 4. Okay, B 7th, F, E, B, C, D, F. That should be F sharp, diminished 7. F sharp, it has a diatonic root, so we're good. By the way, check if this root is diatonic, but actually we already excluded the bad guys here, so it's just a formality that you should check these roots. Okay, make sure they're diatonic to the overall key. So we call that a 5/7 of 5. All right. C major 7th, we have G dominant 7 and call that a 5/7 of flat 6. Finally, we have the E, F, G, A dominant 7th, and we call that a 5/7 of flat 7. All right. So that's all the secondary dominants for E minor. All right. In the next video, we are going to take a look at some more secondary dominant examples. All right. So we'll see them in some chord progressions, how you actually use them in a real life situation. All right. So see you there.